Hello and welcome, my dear Rajeshwar friends of class 8A, B, and C. This is your friend, philosopher, and guide, Prabhat Sharma, with you once again with section 2 of unit 2. And the name of the section is Elephants Raid the Kitchen. Before we move further or we proceed in the future direction, let us see an animation related to the lesson. Please.
Tuskles, Teddy, and the others began feeding around the periphery of this camp, apparently minding their own business and concentrating on eating grass. However, surreptitiously, Tuskles turned the tip of her trunk towards the kitchen and the tents to smell what and who was there, and the delicious odor of very ripe bananas. Tuskles loved bananas. She had first tasted them at the lodge feeding place, where a man came twice a day with a wheelbarrow full of vegetables and fruit scraps. But one day, there was a whole stalk of overripe, almost fermented bananas. Tuskles liked the smell immediately. Plucked one off the stalk, popped it in her mouth, and savored the sweet taste. She managed to eat most of them, sharing as few as possible with the others. On this evening, the smell was irresistible. She moved closer to the kitchen. She could smell other good things as well: pineapples, oranges, and various vegetables. She also noticed that it was unusually quiet in the camp tonight. There were no voices, and there was no strong, immediate smell of humans. She stopped feeding and rumbled gently. Other animals of her group, included Tuskles' 2-year-old calf, slowly approached the kitchen with their trunks held out in front of them. They got within a few feet and stopped and listened. Still, there were no sounds of people. Tuskles reached her trunk out and felt the outer wall of the kitchen. She wrapped her trunk around the sisal pole and pulled. There was a tearing noise as the pole was wrenched away. No one came out of a tent to chase them. The others moved forward and also started pulling on the poles and the wires. Tuskles quickly made a sizable hole in one wall of the kitchen. She reached her trunk in and tried to feel for the bananas. But they were on the opposite side of the kitchen, and a table and cupboard were in her way. She became impatient and leaned her head against the wall and pushed. The building swayed before collapsing sideways. The bananas were under the tilted over wall and roof. But Tuskles was undeterred. She went around to the other side, which was more or less intact, and started forcing her way through the wall. Once she got her head inside, she began to pull things out, open things up, push things over, and gather in as much as food as she could. The bananas went first, of course, closely followed by the pineapples, oranges, mangoes, and papayas. These fruits, even large pineapples, could be placed whole in the mouth and crushed in the huge grinding molars with a great gush of juice. Most of the fruits and vegetables were stored in tin trunks. This posed no problem for an elephant. The tin trunk was lifted up and turned upside down and stepped onto it and kicked about if necessary until it disgorged its contents. Once the fresh produce was finished, Tusculus began to search around for other delicacies. The bread was quickly snatched up, and then the cookies and crackers were eaten, box or plastic bag and all. Next, a small camping fridge and a cooler were crushed, but neither contained anything interesting. Another cupboard with glasses and plates in it was tipped sideways. The bigger fridge was pulled and dragged from its place until it toppled over, disconnected from its gas cylinder. Noxious propane gas hissed out of the dangling tube with a sound and smell that would certainly have sent lesser elephants away. Just as Tusculus and Teddy were tackling the third cupboard with the jams and spices in it, they heard the engine of a car coming in their direction. A few minutes later, the headlights swept around the clump of palm trees at the clearing entrance and shone brightly on the 5 elephants standing in, on, and around the totally destroyed kitchen. The car hesitated for only a moment, and then the engine roared and the car headed for them. Each elephant grabbed a last trunkful and started backing or turning away, reluctantly abandoning the banquet. Tusculus left, carrying a box of spaghetti in her trunk while chewing on a paper bag full of half a pound of garlic. I can still close my eyes and vividly see that disastrous scene as I drove around the corner into the camp and our lights shone on what had been the kitchen. As soon as the elephants left, I quickly got off the Land Rover and crawled into the kitchen because I could hear and smell gas escaping. I found the gas cylinder and removed the regulator to close off the valve. I thought later how horrible it would have been if a spark had set off the gas while the elephants were there. The rickety, dry kitchen would have gone up in flames in seconds. As angry as I was at Tusculus and her gang, I did not want them to get killed or wounded. And in any case, I mostly blamed myself for what had happened that night. Masaku, my cook and camp worker, went away on 5 days leave. On the day he left, Phyllis came back from a trip to Nairobi with a huge load of groceries, meat, and fresh fruits and vegetables, including some overripe bananas with which she was going to make banana bread. The next day, the Gas arrived with yet another huge load of food. Since it was their first night there and the cook was away, they invited us to have dinner at one of the lodges. We gladly accepted. These circumstances had conspired to lead Tusculus to our kitchen. Previously, we had left the camp unattended on many occasions. Elephants had broken into the kitchen 2 years before where no one had been in the camp. It may or may not have been Tusculus. There were also a few males around who raided camps then. After that, we carefully put food away and closed all the trunks to reduce the tempting odors. And we had not been raided again. On this evening, we put away as much food as we could, but there was so much that we could barely close the trunks. We even locked some food in the Toyota so that it would not be left exposed in the kitchen. In the early evening, we had seen Tusculus heading in our general direction. We should have known better. By the later half of 1978, Tusculus had become very, very bad about raiding camps. She and her group sometimes raided as many as 3 or 4 camps a day, both at night and in the daytime. She checked out our camp almost daily. But when she got too interested in the kitchen, she was chased away by Masako. He usually just had to come out of his tent and she and the others would move off, nonchalantly feeding as if they had never even known there was a kitchen in the camp. We thought we had arrived at some sort of understanding with Tuskless, but obviously had not. She was just waiting for her chance. Students,
We shall see the story in detail. The author and her friends were camping in a forest to shoot a wildlife film for a television program. There were some other campers also. Each group of campers lived separately in its own lodge. A group of elephants began feeding around the periphery of this camp regularly. आके इनका खाना खा जाते थे. ये अफ्रीका की कहानी है. वाइल्ड टस्कस मतलब हाथी है ना. ये तो एलिफेंट्स जो थे फॉरेस्ट में थे, उनकी शूटिंग करने के लिए ये लोग गए थे. They were author, her friends, okay. They went to shoot wildlife for a television program. So one of them was a she elephant. Her name was Tuskless. She had a 2-year-old calf named Teddy. A man came twice a day to elephants' feeding place. He came with a wheelbarrow full of vegetables and food scraps. उनका भोजन का ध्यान रखा जाता था ऑल्दो, पर उसको मज़ा ही आता था दूसरों का खाना खाने के अंदर ही. ओके, सो दिस एलिफेंट्स यूज टू गो एंड रेड द कैंप्स, स्पेशली द किचन्स इन पर्टिकुलर. उन किचन में जाकर उनका खाना सब लोगों का खा जाते थे ये एलिफेंट्स जो हमारे थे. तो यही इस कहानी के बारे में है. एंड व्हाट वी नो लिस्ट इज दैट एलिफेंट्स कितना मज़ा किया, लोगों का खाना खा लिया. ओके, थैंक यू एंड गुड.